So, when you think of Red Bull, what's the first thing that pops into your head? It's probably this can, right? Well, what if I told you Red Bull isn't really a beverage company at all? Today, we're going to dive into the paradox of how this simple drink was used to build a global media and sports empire. I mean, it seems like a simple question, doesn't it? Of course they sell drinks, so they're a beverage company. But the answer? Oh, it's way more complicated than you'd think, and it uncovers one of the most brilliant, kind of wild business strategies of the last 50 years. I mean, just look at this stuff. This is what Red Bull actually is today. We're talking two Formula One teams, a whole network of professional soccer clubs from Germany to New York, their own media production house, and events that literally push the limits of what humans can do. This isn't your standard marketing playbook, folks. It's an entire universe they've built around a brand. And the crazy part? That entire massive universe is funded, it's powered by this one number, $7.5 billion. That's how many of those little cans they sold in a single year. That is nearly one for every single person on the planet. So how on earth did this all start? Okay, so let's rewind a bit. The story starts back in 1982. There's this Austrian entrepreneur, a guy named Dietrich Mateschitz, and he's in Thailand dealing with some serious jet lag. He tries a local drink called Krating Dang, which, you guessed it, translates to Red Ball, and it blows his mind. He just knew he had to bring it to the West. But investors? They thought he was nuts. They just didn't see it. And this right here, this is everything. This quote is the key to understanding the whole Red Bull mindset. Much it's new, there was an energy drink market. Nobody was asking for this stuff. So instead of trying to squeeze in somewhere, he put his own money on the line to create a brand new category from the ground up. His strategy was just genius. He built the company with something called a downstream focus. So what on earth does that actually mean? It's simple, really. Red Bull doesn't actually make the drink. They don't own the factories, they don't handle the logistics. They outsource all that upstream stuff so they can pour all their time, money, and energy into one thing, marketing the brand and selling the drink. So you might be wondering, how do you pay for a company that's basically just a giant marketing machine? Well, you do it with a product that's almost ridiculously profitable. It costs Red Bull about 9 cents to produce one can. But they're not selling it for pocket change. Big stores, like Walmart, they're paying around $1.87 for that same can, wholesale. Yep. You can see where this is headed, can't you? That is an absolutely insane 20 times markup from what it costs to make. And that massive profit margin, that's the rocket fuel. That's the cash that lets them build Formula One cars, sign superstar athletes, and throw people out of spaceships. But how did they build a brand strong enough to get people to pay that price? Well, in the beginning, it was just pure grassroots genius. They went straight to the party scene, hired the cool kids on campus, called them student brand managers, and just had them throw epic parties. They had these cool little VW Beetles driving around, handing out free samples. They basically made Red Bull cool before they ever spent a dime on a big TV commercial. As the company got bigger, their strategy morphed into something totally unique, something we can call story performing. Now, this is a total game changer. See, most brands, they find something cool that's already happening, a concert, a sports team, and they just slap their logo on it. That's sponsorship. Red Bull? No way. They create the cool things themselves, from scratch. And this quote just nails it. They're not just telling you a story about being extreme or energetic. They are literally performing it right in front of your eyes. By creating their own events and their own media, they own the whole thing, top to bottom. Total control. And if you want proof that this works, look no further than this, the Stratos space jump back in 2012. It cost them a cool $50 million, but the media value they got from that one single event was estimated at an incredible $6 billion. I mean, do the math. That is a mind-blowing return on investment. Okay, so that all makes sense, but it brings up a really big question, right? If the can is making them so much money, a 20x markup, why bother with all this other stuff? Why spend billions building this huge sports and media empire? Well, it's because they're looking down the road and they see some pretty big storm clouds gathering. For one, their revenue growth has actually been slowing down since that 2012 peak. But more importantly, their entire business depends almost completely on a single sugary drink in a world that's getting more and more health conscious. And relying on one single product, that's a huge, huge risk for any company. And that is the key to this whole thing. You see, the empire isn't just about marketing the can anymore. It's become a massive long-term strategic bet on diversification. The real goal is to build up these other businesses so they can one day stand on their own, even if people stop drinking the energy drink. Let's take their global soccer network. It's a perfect example of how this works in the real world. They can find a gifted young player in Brazil, help him develop at their team in Austria, let him become a superstar in Germany's top league, and then maybe he finishes his career playing for their team in New York. It's this whole self-sustaining pipeline for finding, developing, and profiting from talent. It's brilliant.
And believe me, it's not just for show. It's actually profitable. They bought the New York team for about $25 million back in 2006. Today, it's worth around $290 million. That's more than a 10x return on their initial investment. So it proves that these teams aren't just billboards. They're valuable assets in their own right.
Okay, so the strategy makes sense. The plan is working. Kinda. The assets are getting more valuable. But here's the kicker. Let's look at where the money is actually coming from, right now, today.
And boom, this chart right here, this reveals the entire paradox we've been talking about. After all of that, the Formula One teams, the space jumps, the soccer clubs, a whopping 97% of all of Red Bull's money still comes from selling that little can. Everything else combined is only 3%.
And get this, the company itself doesn't even call them profitable businesses yet. They call all these other ventures an ongoing brand investment, which, is basically corporate speak for, yeah, they're still costing us money. The entire empire is still being bankrolled by the can.
So, at the end of a day, where does that leave us? Red Bull has spent decades using the incredible profits from a simple drink to build a truly breathtaking media and sports universe. It's one giant, long-term gamble, a bet that this empire can one day survive on its own. The real question is, can they make this empire truly self-sufficient before the world decides it's had enough of sugary energy drinks?